Alright, so here we are, once again with a brand new set of Samsung Galaxy devices, and this time it's the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus. If you're no stranger to the Note family, then you probably already know what to expect here. You're getting Samsung's most powerful flagship device, complete with a giant screen and this handy little S Pen that's actually starting to grow on me. The 10 and 10 Plus aren't all that different from last year's model. Samsung is still holding on to that sleek, thin, rectangular design that Note users have come to expect, except of course with a handful of upgrades and design changes. This year, Samsung took full advantage of the Note's famously large, boxy design and went with a full-on 6.8-inch edge-to-edge Infinity O display. It really does give off the illusion that it's melting off into the back of the phone, and it looks incredibly sharp, even when you're using it outside in full sunlight. The display on the Note 10 Plus goes up to a super crisp 1440p, but for whatever reason, Samsung opted to go with a 1080p display on the smaller Note 10, which is pretty surprising given the fact that the Note series has always had top-of-the-line specs, and now, if you want to get the smaller phone, you're basically forced to get an inferior display. But whatever size you end up going with, they both end up looking absolutely stunning. The front and back of the Note 10 Plus are made entirely out of Gorilla Glass 6 and are held together by an aluminum frame. It comes in a few different color variants like your typical black and white, but I picked up the Aura Glow version because frankly, I haven't seen anything like it before. I'm typically the kind of person who opts in for a more traditional color palette when it comes to smartphones, but there's just something special about the Aura Glow color that really makes the Note 10 Plus look even more like a shiny screen from the future. I'm not gonna lie though, there were plenty of times when I felt like I was pulling a vanity mirror out of my pocket because of how shiny and colorful this thing can really get. And on top of that, it's a complete fingerprint magnet. I mean, my phone was literally covered in fingerprints before I even got it out of the box, and it only got a lot worse with practical use throughout the day. But that said, it's surprisingly light for a phone this big, and it feels really nice sitting in your hands. I'm also happy to see that Samsung moved all of the buttons over to the left side and kept the right side clean. I think it gives the phone an overall sleeker, more stylish look, like it was designed with a purpose. It's fitted with a Snapdragon 855 processor, 12GB of RAM, and up to 512GB of internal storage. However, only the Note 10 Plus has the ability to add expandable storage through micro SD cards, which is definitely something to keep in mind. But actually using and navigating through the Note 10 Plus is probably one of the most fluid experiences you can have on a smartphone today. It comes preloaded with Android 9 Pie, which pairs really well with the S Pen. You can use it to quickly take notes straight from the lock screen, and then look them up later using search. There are definitely some really fun and great uses for the S Pen, and it even has a few accessibility options that I really appreciate as well. But unless you're an artist or you just love writing down your notes, most of its other functions end up getting old pretty quickly. As far as battery life goes, I've been ending my days at anywhere between 20 to 30%, and that's with some pretty heavy usage and no charge breaks throughout the day. But of course, everyone uses their phone differently, so remember that might not be the case for you. And if it's not, there's also support for warp charge with up to 45 watts in the Note 10 Plus. It doesn't come with a 45-watt charger out of the box, but if you spend the extra cash to get one, you'll be able to charge from 0 to 100% in less than 90 minutes. And you can now even share some of that extra battery life through Samsung's new wireless power share feature. There's really no denying how awesome and handy this feature is, especially when you see it in action. But you still have to deal with the reality of the slower charge times that come with wireless charging. So just be prepared to sit there for a while if you're going to use it. There's an optical fingerprint reader underneath the display, but unfortunately, it's not quite as sharp as what you'd expect from a Samsung device. The reader in the OnePlus 7 Pro is much faster, and it gets a much better scan than the reader in the Note 10 and 10 Plus. That said, it still works much faster than most readers I've used in the past, and I much prefer this than a physical reader somewhere on the back or on the sides. There's also a triple camera setup on the back that's almost identical to the camera setup on the Galaxy S10 and 10 Plus. You still get the dual aperture main camera, as well as a 2x telephoto and an ultra wide. They're about as good as you'd expect from Samsung, with a nice dynamic range and a good amount of customization options and pro features that you can play around with. So ultimately, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and 10 Plus are some of the most impressive smartphones I've ever had the pleasure of using. Their incredible performance speeds, gorgeous edge-to-edge displays, and high-quality builds make them some of the best smartphones you can buy today. They're definitely a little on the pricey side, but if you're willing to fork out the dough, you're in for a real treat. Anyway, thanks for watching, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.